So, despite hope, it looks like we're not getting a Switch Pro this year. So if you've been waiting to grab one, and you just can't wait anymore, that really leaves you with just two choices: the Switch and Switch Lite. And despite what some people might argue, Kevin Kinos chose the Switch Lite. Here's why.
So before the Switch Lite came out, I was already treating my regular Switch like a dedicated handheld. I did use docked every now and then, but the main reason I would use it docked is if it was any kind of multiplayer situation. Smash Brothers, Mario Party, all that kind of stuff. That was the only time I really ever docked it. Otherwise, I was completely dedicated to handheld. And I realize there's some games that do work better in dock. There's always the argument of like, oh, which version runs smoother? But despite any of that, I would always just play handheld. Growing up, I always spent a lot more time on handhelds than regular systems. You know, I would play stuff on whatever, GameCube, N64, regular systems, but I put way more time in like my Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and DS. Like that was my main system when it came to just like what I was soaking a lot of time into. So in a lot of ways, the Switch offering that handheld mode just feels more right to me. I think the biggest thing I really miss is rumble. One of the things that was really cool about the regular Switch and the Joy-Cons is having HD rumble. And part of that is when you're using the Joy-Cons just directly on their own, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that. But even just when attached to the system in a handheld, I really like just having rumble. It's a very basic form of feedback that just really helps keeping you invested in a game. And there's some games even for the Switch that have specific features and mechanics that play off of having rumble. So not having that in the Switch Lite is kind of a pain. And there's definitely times where I'll play a game that I haven't played on a regular Switch and I'm like, I bet there was a rumble thing here. Like rumble would make sense right now and I don't have that. Also more battery. I could always use more battery. I don't know if I'd say there's a lack of special editions for the Switch Lite. I mean, it got an immediate one announced before the Switch Lite even came out with the Pokemon one. That being said, I am really surprised the Animal Crossing Switch isn't a Switch Lite. If you would ask me, which one would make more sense to you, I just picture Animal Crossing as a Switch Lite. Part of that is that I think the Switch Lite is just a much more aesthetically pleasing system, not just because of the vibrant colors they chose for the official ones, but just the fact that it's like a one single unibody design. I think there's more you can just do with that freely that'll look really cool. So it really surprised me that the Animal Crossing Switch is a regular Switch. And it makes me wonder in the future, what's going to inform that decision for Nintendo. Whenever a new game comes out and they want to do a special edition, will there be one for the Switch Lite? Will there be one for the regular Switch? Will they do both? I don't know. So far, it looks like they're going to just kind of pick and choose. And I don't know if that helps or hurts. I want to see more special editions because the Pokemon one's cool, but I think they can do even cooler. That, or if they did something with the retro consoles. I actually remember recently on Twitter I interacted with Izzy Nobre, who shared an image of a Switch Lite mock-up that was Game Boy colors, and I would love something like that. Either Game Boy colors or even just like some of the home systems, like an SNES or GameCube colors. Just something like that. I always love when there's that kind of reference back to older system color schemes. Honestly, I don't know how the full number breakdown works for, what it costs to produce a Switch Lite versus how much profit they make per sale, but it feels like it should be just a little cheaper. I think $200 was a good starting price, but I already see it randomly going on sale at some places, and I think the biggest thing that really inhibits people is you still have that $2 up front. If it was like $170 even, $180 even though that's not that big of a price drop, I feel like that would just have a mental impact for a lot of people to make it really seem like a better deal compared to the regular Switch. Because when you look at Switch Lite $200, regular Switch $300, yeah, $100 is a lot of money and is a lot to save, but then you compare some of the features like being able to dock, the fact that it comes with a dock and all that kind of stuff, I think there's just, the $200 doesn't seem quite entirely worth it to people. One way that I have gotten away with it in my own personal life is that, I do have access to regular Switches because of this channel and what we do. But even then, I know lots of people with regular Switches that they use docked. So if I want to play something like Mario Party or Smash Brothers, there's someone I know that I can play with in that atmosphere. And so that helps for me. But I definitely see why that's a big problem for a lot of people. Something that's a little bit weird for me too, just in the time that I've been using the Switch Lite a lot, is that something I like about it a lot is that it's very small and extra portable, even though it's, only how much smaller than the regular Switch. But at the same time, it's still not the most comfortable thing out there because the Switch body design is just not really the most ergonomic thing. I actually do think it's a little more comfortable than the regular Switch because the regular Switch, going back to it, the Joy-Cons being on the rails feels weird to me. Just the fact that there's just a little bit of give and it feels off when compared to using the Switch Lite that just has the one solid body. But where the whole grip thing gets weird is that, yeah, there's grips out there that make it a lot more comfortable, but then that kind of gets rid of the big selling point of the Switch Lite to me, is that it's ultra portable. It's gotten to the point where I've been going back and forth between how I really use my Switch Lite, and the way I'm kind of resting on right now is when I'm home, I make use of one of the grips like the Satisfy or the Skull & Co, whatever. I'll use one of those at home and it's more comfortable, but then if I do want to go somewhere with it, I take it out of the grip and put it in the flip cover, because that's just a way more portable design that I like a lot more, instead of having to get like a big case that fits the grip and all this other stuff, and now it's taking up place in a bag. The main thing that keeps me looking at a regular Switch every now and then by comparison, especially if like a really cool special edition or something came out, I think the biggest thing that would make me switch back is actually the battery life more than the docking. Again, being able to dock is super cool and useful, and there are certain games where I do like that feature, but at the end of the day, I use it as a handheld. So the bigger battery life of a regular Switch is something that's more appealing to me, that sometimes makes me go like, I like using my Lite, but it'd be really cool if I got like an extra hour or two before having to plug it in or break out a battery bank. That'd be nice. I'd like that. I understand why some people don't get what's cool or appealing about a Switch Lite over a regular Switch. It's not for them. You know, there is such a thing as targeted demographics, and I happen to be the kind of person that really likes the idea of a Switch Lite, and there's other people that don't. What does bother me a little bit, though, is the people that like outright have hatred for the Switch Lite. I think part of it is kind of a saltiness over the fact that we got that instead of a Switch Pro. I think a lot of people were hoping something like that would happen sooner, but it just doesn't make sense to me to be angry that someone might like a slimmer, different system than you. At the end of the day, they're still playing the same games. They're still having fun and experiencing stuff. It's just not what you define as fun, I guess.
How do you sell the Switch Lite better?
I have no idea. Include a dock in the first place, damn it. No, include the ability to dock. Don't worry, Xbox, Sony, I still play you guys.